Bartender podcasts for everyone. Hello and welcome to the maiden voyage of the chronic Auteur podcast. My name is Rick Almada. In contemplating doing a podcast at all, several ideas ran through my mind. One was that everyone else has one, which made me think of something my mother might say, something like, if everyone else insisted on not regulating synthetic CDOs and took their country's economy into the abyss of hell, would you have to do that too? Then I thought, a podcast just has to be safer than that, right? This and all Chronic Auteur podcasts will run approximately 15 to 20 minutes in length, and I intend to release them on a monthly basis unless popular demand dictates otherwise. If you'd like to receive a monthly notice of time and date, you can send me your email and I'll add you to my email notice list, or you can check out my website www.rickyrick131.com for the Chronic Auteur schedule and my link to my YouTube channel, Rickaroo702, where you can see my other clips, subscribe, like, comment, etc. My primary hope for this podcast, in addition to being actively creative and hopefully entertaining, is to promote the auteur spirit. Anyone struggling to articulate their vision to make some kind of impact, I actually hope I can be of some kind of benefit. I will have other auteurs on, discuss their work, struggle, aspirations, and vision, as well as what obstacles they're up against. The Chronic Auteur podcast consists of 3 segments and some hopefully insightful commentary in between. So let's get on with segment 1.
The fatheads upstairs say there's no greenbacks for new pictures, up to their elbows in sequels and remakes. It's no secret original scripts get a bum rap in this town, even if the writers are the cat's meow. So sit back and let me tell you about a new film called Noir, and how you can help make it happen.
What got us to do Noir? Well, I think it's been a long time for us to finally do something. We wanted to do something. We wanted to make a movie, and we wanted to make a movie pretty much our way. And being a filmmaker, you tend to have to wait for the money, And eventually you get to a point where you're saying to yourself, well, how long is that going to take? Well, if the money doesn't show up, So we became very proactive. Lee and I have been working together for quite a long time, and we've been working with our good friend Gerald Knott, who's a producer and a filmmaker too, and we just finished a script called Noir, which was actually meant to be a spec script. So that script was meant to be sold, and we gave it to him to take a look, and when he looked at it, he loved it. And he felt, because it's a film noir / horror genre monster movie, so we're combining 2 elements, 2 genres together. He thought this would be a good opportunity for us to film it where he works, which is over at Quest Pictures.
You just heard a short clip from a noir Indiegogo film that's on Vimeo now. The femme fatale actress Natalie Pena, followed by Gregory J. Bradley, co-writer, co-director, co-producer, and friend of 20 years plus, speaking about the in-production indie feature, Noir.
Well, me and my co-writing partner and co-directing partner, Ali Anthony Smith, well, we've been working together for quite a while. I would say we've been writing together for almost close to 20 years. And we wrote a movie called War with Jet Li and Jason Statham. Right. And one of the things that we've always wanted to do was just have the opportunity after that movie was made to say, look, we got to get a chance to make our own film. A producer friend of ours, Gerald Knotts, has been working with us on developing projects that all three of us can do. Whether we produce one and he directs, or he produces and we direct. And at that time, we just finished our script, and we gave it to him to read. And then he came back and said that, I think you guys should do this now. And that's kind of pretty much, and which is ironic too, because it's like, well, we didn't have any money, and yet he's like, well, we can green screen it, and okay, but what about the actors? We'll audition. He kept coming up with, reasons why we should do it. And, I think part of me was just kind of like, oh, well, I guess there is no reason not to actually get going, except, well, what about the money? It says, well, you know what? I can help out for a couple of days. And then we did our Indiegogo campaign, and that got us the rest that we needed to get started.
So sit back and let me tell you about a new film called Noir, and how you can help make it happen.
Max Spector is our leading protagonist. He's a detective that's being hired by the daughter of a missing screenwriters in 1949. Now, back in the 30s, Universal used to create those classic monster movies, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman. Well, our screenwriter, his name's Jack Thorpe. Well, he's kind of been reduced to the B knockoffs in the 40s. By the time those monsters came around in the 40s, they were already passé. And he was already doing the knockoff versions, so like Blood Moon and all those other type of B monster movies. Where apparently, as our detective is looking for him, Jack has caused a lot of ripples in Hollywood in 1949, and eventually nobody likes him. And our detective finds out that all of his enemies are winding up dead. But every time he finds a script, it describes how they're being killed in the script, and each of them are being described by a different monster. So that's pretty much it. I mean, it's dealing with the occult, and I think that's where the green screen will play a big part of that.
Very good. So you got a guy who's writing scripts, and people are dying in the scripts in real life too.
Yes.
Very good. There's the setup, folks. Very good, great. Well, and he's got to solve it. He's got to figure it out.
He's got to solve it, exactly.
And he doesn't believe in any of this shit.
Well, no, he's an atheist. A lot of sweat and blood has went into the script, and you kind of relate to poor Jack Thorpe.
Okay.
We got to find Jack Thorpe. We got to find out where he is.
Okay.
Well, for green screen, it presents a whole new challenge because you're limited in movement, camera movement. You pretty much have to track on the green screen, where you're moving to, and you have to always be careful how you light the green screen, how far the actors are from the green screen, and then the camera can't move too much, especially when you're going to put stuff on there. So that was our number one big challenge, is because we tend to, when Lee and I shoot, we tend to like to move the camera, have the camera kind of move in and out and convey, information through camera movement. Green screen, not so much. We're probably about 6 months into it right now. We've also felt like we probably wanted to do practical locations as well, mainly because, we didn't want to just do a full green screen movie. To be honest, we're kind of almost like wanted to do it the way they did it back in the 40s. Because in the 40s, they had rear projection. A lot of location shoots and stuff, you see the rear projection. That was their green screen back in the 40s. For example, we're using a 5D. And, and we're also using a Sony 300. At times, we may use an iPhone. We've had the black box. We're using whatever is at our disposal to be able to shoot, whatever technology that will allow us to shoot. Also, to give it a different style and a different look. We're playing around with the look of the film as well. Yeah. We are working on a very, very, very tiny budget. So we have to be very selective. We've been fortunate, though, because a lot of our locations have been given to us. People have been volunteering their time, their energy. It's it's a passion, a love project right now. We're wearing multiple hats in this one. Tony's the cinematographer. He's the co-writer, co-director, and pretty much craft person. I am the I am the co-director, co-writer, co-location manager, casting director. We are literally wearing a lot of different hats. Yes, we're fortunate to have a great friend of ours, Andrew James Jones. He plays Max Spector. He plays he's our protagonist. He's our detective. He's our rock, and he's incredible. Matter of fact, the cast, we have an incredible cast. We're giving a lot of great talent out there. If you're interested in what we're doing, if you're interested in learning more about noir and about how we're shooting and how we're putting it together, just go on our Facebook page, Noir the Film, one word, and we post pictures up pretty much every week, or every time we shoot, we post up new pictures as well. And make sure you like us when you get on our page, and you guys can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
With it, director, co-director, Greg Bradley here. He's working with Anthony Lee Smith. Lee Anthony Smith.
Yes. These mistakes are good because people realize it's live.
That's right. And now you made me forget what I was going to ask you. It's not important. I will be following the Noir crew as they get their production complete through post and beyond. Full disclosure, they allowed me an audition for a role in the film, and I thank them for that. We go back to the Second City Training Center in 1988-89, and I'm hoping the best for them as they push forward. Thanks for being my first interview, Mr. Greg Bradley. You are a chronic auteur.
Bartender. Podcast for everyone. Was that good? I was kind of half drunk.
That was beautiful.
All right, good.
And now segment 2. He travels the fastest who travels alone. Rudyard Kipling. Must keep going.
Baby, you need to take a break.
No, must keep going.
But we have no money, no locations. We're gonna have to feed people.
Must keep going.
You damn silly, foolish auteur. Silly,
Must
foolish, poor
keep
auteur.
going.
Very,
Must
very poor.
keep going.
Very poor.
Must keep
So
going.
tragically poor.
Must
Financially
keep
barren.
Going.
No
Must
dough, hombre.
keep
Poor.
going. Must keep
Poor.
going.
Piss
Must
poor.
keep going.
Economic disaster of a man.
I-
No cash, no bucks.
I get it.
Poverty-stricken dog of a man.
Yes.
Poverty-stricken.
Yes.
You're so poor, I can't even say how poor.
Yes.
Poverty-stricken dog of a man.
Okay.
Zero balance, check bouncing, behind in the rent.
I get
can't
it.
even buy a
Yes.
Coca-Cola. Poor.
Yes.
Poor.
From the Eastern Sierras. On the Eastern Sierra Madre Range in Mexico, about 130 miles north of Mexico City, is a vast plateau where I, Emilia, lived the first few years of my life. A large community exists there, even though the terrain is dry, parched, and strewn with stones of all types and sizes. The sun beats down over all, bleaching the stones, giving them the appearance of bones strewn everywhere, which is why it was given the name El Rancho de los Huesos, literally meaning the ranch of bones. Where all of these stones came from, no one knows. It seems they've been there forever. Here and there, Large cactus plants, along with other hardy plants, are part of the seemingly barren landscape. Every morning before the sun sends down its strongest rays, most inhabitants are up and about, taking care of the necessary chores in the morning coolness. In the high heat of the day, everyone reposes in his or her shady house. Evening is the most welcome time for everyone. Summer is the driest time in these areas. Most of the rainfall happens during the winter or spring months. These mountain dwellers were peasants, farmers, and herdsmen then, and still are today. A few goats, pigs, and poultry, which provided meat, milk, and cheese, were kept on the compound for their own consumption and perhaps to sell. The men tended and cared for the crops in the field, which were mostly corn and beans, along with a variety of other vegetables. The woman looked after the animals, which were penned on the property farther back from the living quarters. The roosters and hens, as well as the chicks, seemed to have a bit more freedom, but also had their pens towards the back of the compound. Though the harshness of the terrain seemed severe, the people here lived with more tranquility away from the activities of the town below, the town being El Rincón de Tamayo, or Tamayo's Corner. It was in this society that my mother, Martha, and her siblings had been raised. My father, Jose Macario, came from a nearby town in the valley below. In Tamayo's Corner, there are trees as well as parks in the different areas of the town. My grandparents, Jacinto Mendoza and Jesus Maria Patino, had a tract of land on this great plateau. It was there that they raised their family, consisting of 3 daughters, Marta, Mary, and Zeneda, and 2 sons, Pedro and Anselmo. In that rural society, and in that period of time, life was very hard. Electricity and gas, along with other conveniences, were still far into the future. Gathering or buying wood was the way to keep the fires burning in the kitchen. Water had to be fetched every day from the streams or falls. When it came time to wash clothes, the bundles were carried to the stream at the farthest end, or were it emptied out into the creek. There the washing was done using the rocks as washboards. It was also the right place for those who loved to gossip. If you wanted to know where so-and-so went or who had gone off with whom, that was the place to hear it all. That was from the saga of Millie and Ig, The Long Road Home, by Emilio Rojas Almada.
2 miles up and 5 miles over me, there is a cloud of dust following me. All my fears are crushed.
It's not safe for the world today! It's not safe for the world today!
They're scared.
There's a
'cause,
suicide epidemic. It's on the news. Can you squeeze me in?
This is Groin.
Please, this is a cry for help.
Did anyone with an appointment show up?
They scare me.
No. Oh. June Hart. June Hart's here.
June Hart then.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
And then Mrs. Groin, and then everyone else after that.
Thank you. I am so sorry to yell. You are a genius. I have read all your books, How to Be Your Own Best Friend,
Yes.
and your articles on overpopulation.
Thank you, Mrs.
And your inner expansion book. You're so diverse.
You read The Inner Expansion?
No. It was just laying on the table.
2 miles down and 9 miles out at sea, the water's rising up, swallowing me.
Let me ask you something. That son of a bitch was Obama has to tell the and then he's going to try and keep my now I'll tell you something else.
Have you ever had this type of conversation
He's a non-Christian and he's a
where you realize you're not there to
So what do you think?
participate,
Let me ask you,
but
really? So you think
you're assigned the listener
So you want to stab
role
babies? What you're saying is you want to stab babies. You want to stab babies. Oh, God.
till you're asked for your opinion,
So what do you think? Let me ask you.
at which point you have no idea what to say, because all you really want is to just get
what do you think?
away
Oh, so you're not
from this fucking dog.
And another marketing. Who's in charge? Obama. Who else? Obama.
Lies and the tongue trip, suicides, there is a better world. I know.
He travels the fastest who travels alone. Rudyard Kipling. And now, segment 3.
Started performing in junior high, was in my first play. So after high school, went to college, majored in theater, got my master's degree in theater as well, with 1 year at University of Akron, and then finished my degree at Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. After SIU Carbondale, we started a comedy improv group in school, and then took that group to tour to colleges and universities. So we were our own agent. We booked our own shows through cold calls to the universities' performing boards. I forget what it's called. Anyway, we also went to conventions that each region of the United States holds for the college entertainment boards. And we basically it was like a trade show for entertainment. And we would set up a booth and pass out information and show our video and try to get people to bring us into their school to perform. So there were some lean years when we first started. we all had to have other jobs, but eventually we got to the point where we were making our living as performers. So that was pretty cool.
Actress Carolyn Wilson. I met Carolyn through a mutual friend, and she was willing to be in my independent feature, Papa Zeus. You heard a clip from it in segment 2, where she is the manic klepto book-stealing patient in the waiting room, Mrs. Groin. She also lent her voice to the must-keep-going piece as the woman, reminding the poor auteur that he is very, very poor.
Once that was finished, I moved to LA and continued to pursue acting. Unfortunately, in LA, I've never been able to only be an actor. I've always had to have a day job as well. But I've had some success, done some feature films, done a lot of independent films for people that are creating their own material, TV shows, guest stars on TV shows. So it's been fun. I still enjoy it, but it's a long haul. I've been here since '91, so still plugging away.
91?
1991, moved to LA.
What are some of the day jobs that you wound up doing, or the things you had?
I have had, if I made a list of all my day jobs I've ever had, we'd run out of tape. No tape. You know what I mean? I spent a long time teaching ESL, English as a Second Language, which is a very fun job and actually a pretty good job for performers. I really enjoyed doing that. I did it for a private school that is based at Whittier College. I did that for 3 years there, and they laid me off. Then I got a job delivering food. I've worked as a waiter. I worked as a nanny when I first moved to town. That was a job from hell, and I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. I also, what else? I catered. I worked as a substitute teacher for LA Unified for 9.5 years because it's flexible, and I would get health insurance and, a little bit of money toward pension. So, yeah, now I am a real estate agent, and I work for a general contractor doing their office management. So, always trying to find the flexible job. I never had a real, corporate kind of job where you wouldn't be able to leave to go to an audition. I've always worked for people that know I'm an actor and know that I need to take time off. And they all say they're great with it. They all say it's not a problem until they're busy and they need you and you have to leave to go do something, and then it becomes kind of uncomfortable. But I've always had a job where I can make up the time. So if I have to take 2 hours out of my day to drive to Santa Monica for a commercial audition, I can either go in early or stay later to make up the time. So that's been helpful.
You worked as a casting director too, right?
I did. I worked for 3.5 to 4 years. I think it was 4 years. I was a casting assistant originally on That 80s Show, which was a sort of a spin-off of That 70s Show, and it only lasted one season. I did a couple pilots with them, and the casting director for that 70 show, my friend was the casting associate, G. Charles Wright, full associate after that. So we finished out 70 show. We did 5 pilots with that office, 2 short films. It was really fun. It's a very fun job, but that is a job that when we're, if we're casting a pilot and I've got an audition, I can't leave in the middle of that to go on an audition. So that was starting to make it difficult for me to pursue the acting. So that's why I left casting.
Yeah, sure. I imagine because, in other words, that's your job. Your focus is on
Right.
that, and that's where your attention has to be.
Right. And they can't rearrange 40 actors coming into audition because I need to go to Santa Monica to do a commercial audition in Slate, and tell us a funny thing that happened to you. So, God. Yeah. So yeah, I had to make a decision. Plus, it's like anything in this business. You're always looking for your next job. Even the casting people, they're always having to hustle. They don't know when their show will get canceled, even if they're on a hit show. You see that all the time. Shows you love get canceled for what you think is no reason, and now those casting people got to go out and find the next job. And I thought, if I'm hustling to find the next gig, I'd rather it be an acting gig. But because of the advent of technology, in my opinion, casting has become more difficult because now the studio people and network people can see an audition on their computer. And it used to be, back in the old days when I was working on it, that a guest star would have to be approved by the studio or network. But a co-star, the casting people and the producers of that show would get to decide. And they would just let network know, like, hey, we're casting Rick Almada in the role of Mr. Johnson. And they would say, okay, great. But once we had all of the technology, they wanted to see every single audition, even one-line co-stars, and have an opinion on it. So it started to cramp the creativity of the casting people, in my opinion, because they used to be able to find new people and really reach out to new actors. And now with the networks and the studios having a say in it, it feels like they just, they want the same faces they see all the time. And with the way the business is going with, film people doing TV, the people that used to be leads on shows, now the movie stars are taking the leads. So now those former leads are now the guest stars on these shows. And the people that used to be the guest stars are now bumped down to co-stars. And people that used to be co-stars, there's not as much for them to do. Yeah. But I don't think that bringing in a British guy to play an American is going to make people want to tune in. I think, I don't see why they have to bring in Brits and Australians to do these roles. Because average Joe American doesn't know who that British actor is. They don't really know the names of the actors and who they are. They want to see a good actor doing a good job in a show they like.
Have acting ambition,
I know. I just did a feature film about a month ago, which was an independent feature that Allison Jones cast. Allison is the casting director that has worked on a million Judd Apatow projects. She cast The Office. She cast me in a guest star on The Office. She brings me in all the time and tries to find stuff that works for me. And that's what casting people tend to do. If they find an actor they like, they'll bring you in a lot. So if you've been in a lot of times for a casting director and you haven't booked for them yet, don't get discouraged because they like you. They're trying to find something that fits for you. But I just did that film. I did a short film for a friend that was just a goofy zombie thing, which was kind of fun. I've been out a lot this year for episodics for, TV shows. Haven't booked those, but I'm still getting out, and I love doing it. So I have those moments. I'm not a kid anymore, and so I have those, why am I working at these jobs that don't pay as well as they could? You start to compare yourself to other people who live in other cities who are your age and the quality of life they have compared to the quality of life you have. And about once a month, I have maybe it's time to stop acting conversation. And then I'll get an audition. Like within a day. That when I'm sitting down having that, maybe it's time to go. I'll get an email that I have an audition the next day. It's like Vegas, just when you're ready to walk away from the slot machines, you win a little bit and the bells start to ring and the coins fall down. And you're like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this.
to thank Carolyn for her interview and for exemplifying the auteur spirit. I know exactly how she feels. I've gone through that myself, have that monthly conversation with myself. But so goes the battle. Some shameless self-promotion. You can find out more about Noir, www.facebook.com/Noir the Film. Also, Noir the Film at Instagram and Twitter. You can find out about Mr. Gregory J. Bradley and Lee Anthony Smith, the creators of Noir, on IMDb. In the music segments, Laura Hall and Luke Hannington did some of the music there for the segues, and along with music, you heard music from Gods and Heroes CD, the song Steady Toe by Mr. Matt Tigler. Papa Zeus, you heard a clip from Papa Zeus, which is at Amazon right now. You can view it anytime you want. Just go to Amazon.com, look up Papa Zeus. Clips from Papa Zeus and others, including the Chronic Auteur podcasts, are available via my website, www.rickyrick131.com, and my YouTube channel, Rickaroo702. You can look up Carolyn Wilson at IMDb, contact her, and cast her in your next project. Thanks for listening, folks. If you liked, you can comment and join the mailing list for the next podcast announcement and tell others. Gracias.